Welcome. My name is Dr. Ronda Zelezny-Green, and I'm the founder of Datocracy, a nonprofit organization where data upskilling and democracy meet. I'm going to invite up my incredible panel, Kanchana, Sthanumurthy, Florence Tafa, ID Udur, and Kwabena Gao. Please come on up. We're going to talk today about digital skills, and particularly digital skills within the African context, okay? All right, so with our first panelist, Kanchana Sthanumurthy from USAID, why is digital literacy important for ecosystem strengthening?
Okay, thanks so much, Ronda. Thanks for having me on the panel today, and thank you all for joining. My name is Kanchana Sthanumurthy, and I'm a digital technology program specialist with USAID's Innovation, Technology, and Research Hub, where I sit on the digital inclusion team. So to kind of answer your question, I want to start by thinking about, first of all, why is digital literacy important in the first place? Why do we care? I mean, I know all of you do because you're here, but let's just set the context a little bit. So, I mean, at this point we know, and Ronda, your questions kind of highlighted that countries are really experiencing an immense digital transformation. And I think COVID particularly highlighted the importance of the digital transformation and recognizing those who are getting left behind in it. This impacts how people access media and information, government services, education, economic opportunities, and so much more. And as a result, now that previously disconnected communities are coming online, we have an increasing need to make sure these communities are able to access the new skills in order to use digital technology safely and responsibly within their communities for the uses that I just explained previously that they may want to access technology for. It's extremely important, and I think we've seen many different examples around the world where technology has been introduced, things like the Zero Basics programs, and where people have gotten online very quickly, and we've seen sort of devastating consequences of really not preparing communities, not thinking about digital skills and the resources that people really need to be successful with that. At USAID, we feel like we should never assume that users have the necessary digital skills right off the bat to access an intervention or to access the technology in the way that it may have been designed or conceived of. Again, in an earlier panel, someone had mentioned, this idea of if we build it, they will come, is not fully accurate. And I think if we build it, they will come and know what to do is kind of the secondary piece of that. So, just to kind of finish up, digital literacy is important because it builds this user capacity to demand, engage with, and safely navigate digital tools and services in our increasingly digital world. So what is USAID trying to do about this, and how are we engaging? What is, of your question about ecosystem, how are we engaging within the ecosystem? So some of you may know we released the digital strategy back in 2020, and incorporating digital literacy into our development programming is a key element of USAID's digital strategy to help partners navigate the opportunities and risk of digital ecosystems. And we published a digital literacy primer in the spring of 2022 in order to kind of help our USAID staff and implementing partners understand how to integrate digital literacy effectively into their technical programming. We've also recently just developed a training series that's actually publicly available on YouTube. It's a series of 4 videos to help partners understand, again, how to incorporate digital literacy into their portfolios. And the 4 objectives of these trainings are to, 1, understand what digital literacy is and how we define it. 2, understand, how to integrate it into programmatic activities. 3, to understand the risks inherent in digital programming and lack of digital skills and how to mitigate for it, and then integrating it into our program cycle. And then, I know Ronda, you're going to cut me off in a minute, but she was clear about it. But I will just quickly refer to, how do we think about the ecosystem writ large? USAID actually publishes digital ecosystem country assessments, or DECAs, that we kind of conduct for each country that we work in, that help to inform development, design, and implementation of strategies and processes in the digital ecosystem. So the three pillars within our DECAs are digital infrastructure and adoption, digital society, rights and governance, and then the digital economy. And of course, one underlying principle that's really important is, of course, understanding the end user that we're working with and making sure that we're designing with that end user. We also really strongly refer to the principles for digital development, which we were all part of the refresh this morning. But we think they're excellent living guidelines to really make sure that development practitioners are integrating best practices in tech-enabled programs. And that's my time, but thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. And I think one thing that everyone should also bear in mind is that there is currently no digital skills framework for Africa by Africans. So this is also a big gap that's pending, which hopefully we'll get to through some of our other panelists. So this is Idomisid Udor, or ID, as he prefers to be called, and he's with the FCDO from the United Kingdom government. ID, can you share insights on the FCDO's approach to integrating digital literacy within its development programs in Africa and its implications for sustainable development?
Thank you very much, Ronda. Good morning, everybody. I'm excited to be here. My name is Idonga, and she did well in pronouncing it. ID for short is fine. And I am a senior digital advisor. I'm also the program advisor for the UK's Digital Access Program, doubles that as country lead, but also for the UK's Africa Cyber Program as well. I'll start by providing a bit of context, Ronda. The UK's white paper on international development emphasizes the need to drive digital development. But what does this mean exactly? It means digital has to be inclusive, responsible, and sustainable. And we do this by harnessing the power of digital for the good of the planet, but also the good of the people, pushing through a shared mutual prosperity. Some of you may be aware, earlier this week, the UK launched a new digital development strategy, 2024 to 2030. And this digital development strategy highlights that we'll try to achieve our objectives through four interconnected priorities. That is digital transformation, digital inclusion, digital responsibility, and digital sustainability. If you pick up that document, which is publicly available on gov.uk, you could see more details on each of these. But what is clear, as was mentioned earlier, is that COVID highlighted the need for digital, and specifically digital skills. What we are seeing is that while we push for digital, we want to also ensure that it accelerates the SDGs. And you mentioned about sustainable development goals. Our overarching priority in digital development is that while digital is doing all the goods, SDGs shouldn't be left behind. In fact, it should accelerate it. And this takes me nicely to the point on digital skills. It is not possible that people can fully engage and participate in digital without relevant digital skills. And for us at the FCDO, what we're looking at when we're looking at digital skills, we're looking at it in three perspectives. We're looking at functional skills, we're looking at technical skills, but we're also looking at behavioral skills under digital. That is why our approach is slightly different. Through the Digital Access Program, which is the UK's flagship digital development program, working with partner countries from Latin America to Southeast Asia and Africa, we try to ensure that we work with these partners to amplify why digital skill is important. Take, for example, let me narrow that down to Nigeria, for instance. In a country that is almost about 220 million people, some research shows that about 62% of the population don't have relevant digital skills. So how can they participate in the digital without the relevant digital skills to do that? But that is not all. It is the reason the government in Nigeria, for example, also came up with a plan on how to, take out the barrier. For example, the National Digital Economy Policy and Strategy for Nigeria says by 2030, they want to move the digital skill population to 90%. Before then, by 2027, they will take that to 75%. How do you do that? And this is where the FCDO comes in. And we work with a partner country like Nigeria, for example, in testing out cases where digital skill models can be demonstrated. For example, through the Digital Access Program in Nigeria, we worked with an organization called the Cyber Safe Foundation, where we specifically target women and girls, people living with disability. The reason for that is that we found out as part of our research work that part of the reason women and girls, for example, don't engage digital skills is cultural context. If you design a digital skill program where you are having the skill training center with men and women, there are some parts of the country the women will never come. It doesn't matter how good the program is. So we design programs that specifically targets that. And through the DAP, we've supported over 70,000 women on that. I know that my time is going. But such programs like that, we work with state governments, partner them to amplify or test our digital skills model. And some of these test cases have been highlighted in the Digital Development Strategy the UK government has published. So working with local partners, international partners, but also, very importantly, considering country context, cultural context, we've been able to test out successful digital skill models with all of our partner countries that in most cases, in some cases, have been taken over by private sector, by government, and by other institutions to amplify and close the gap. Thank you.
Thank you. And I want to touch on two things that he said. I'm American, but also British, and typical British humility. I didn't even know the strategy was released, so thank you for making us aware of that 2024-2030 strategy. And then also highlighting that Nigeria has an ICT minister right now that actually worked in tech. So we're looking forward to the good things that he does there in the country. Great. All right, so our next esteemed panelist, Ms. Florence Tofa of Mobile Web Ghana and the Africa Digital Skills Conference. Florence, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I run Mobile Web Ghana, and it started in the year 2010. The Mobile Web Ghana is a technology and entrepreneurship hub based in Accra. Originally, the organization started as a project in collaboration with the Web Foundation, Tim Berners-Lee, the gentleman who created the internet for all of us that we are enjoying today. And he had a vision. He partnered with Vodafone UK, and he had a big vision of coming to Africa to train young people to acquire digital skills, to develop value-added services on the mobile phone. Because when he looked at the world, he saw that the West has connectivity to the internet. But when you come to Africa, we had access to mobile phones. How can we empower and equip these young people to be able to develop value-added services on the mobile phone? When we started in 2010, it was the same issues we have today. Today in Ghana, we have about 44 million mobile phones, and about 24 million have internet connectivity on the mobile phone. And so the goal is that how can these people, if it's SME, if it's student, how can they have services, locally generated innovations on the mobile phone that can help them to be able to empower them economically and to be able to learn a skill, to be able to connect to the other world. Because with the internet, the platform have been leveled, like there is nothing like I cannot learn anything. The level of playing field have been leveled across board. So Tim Berners-Lee had a vision to be able to train people to connect to the internet, to develop value-added services so that they can connect to the bigger world. Fast Track in 2013, the project ended, and through that project, we trained entrepreneurs like Farmer Line, who is a core player in the agri-tech industry in Africa. And he is employing more than 20 20,000 people across Africa through that project. And so when the project ended in 2013, we had a couple of people coming to us. Can we still get the training program? Can we still be equipped with some form of technological skills that we can use to also empower our lives or to create entrepreneurial ventures like Former Line has done? So we decided to come up with African Digital Skills. And African Digital Skills is a platform that creates learning and sharing of African digital skills across board. And we've been doing this for 4 years now. We have run about 200 sessions, and we have about 10,000 people participating from 52 countries. So over the period of the sessions that we've run, over the period, we've seen that people are more likely or they expect to learn more about data science. I mean, initially, when we started, we were thinking that people will need basic skills like Word, Excel, to connect to the internet, to learn more about the internet. But we've seen that the young people that come on board, that want to learn, they are thinking about more advanced skills because the internet has evolved over time. Like, let's take it from Web 1.0, where it was more static, where you and I can only go and view web pages, to Web 2.0, when it was more user-generated content, where we can not only view, but now we can also contribute, we can comment, we can also say things, to Web 3.0, when now it's more like decentralized, it's blockchain, now it's AI people. So the young people are also thinking in the same area, where like, I don't want to learn Word and Excel any longer. So if any African policy has Word and Excel, like some of the routine basic technologies that people are implementing in schools, like when you go to some schools in Africa, you'll be surprised that what they are teaching them is not maybe data science, is not AI. They are teaching the Word, Excel, PowerPoint, but the world and the technology as we see it, as we are all part of it, have evolved over a period of time. So what we've seen, because when people register for the conference, we ask them, what do you want to learn? So that we can tailor-make the conference to suit what you want to learn. And over the period of time, we've seen that people are interested in data science, data analytics, they're interested in AI, Power BI, data visualization. We were quite surprised. And the facilitators that come on board, we've had for each conference that we've hosted over a period of 3 days. We have trainers from 52 countries, and most trainers also want to teach the same skills from across board. From when you take Uganda, Kenya, Nigeria, more people want to teach data visualization, data science skills, and other skills related to Web 3.0 and how they can contribute to the world now. And so those are some of the things that we've seen over the period of time that we've been implementing African digital skills. And we also host the American Corner, which also does a lot of capacity building in digital skills.
Great. Thank you so much for staying on time. All right, last but certainly not least, my final panelist is Kwabena Gao from Right to Play. Kwabena, what do you think are some of the most effective ways to leverage technology to support teachers' continuous professional development in Africa?
Thank you. So as an organization, Right to Play, we are a global not-for-profit organization that believe in the use of play as a tool to transform teaching and learning. So what do? We have strategic ambition to improve quality education for early childhood, for primary, to also ensure that girls are empowered and their well-being enforced, and then also look at psychosocial support for displaced children and women and adults. But having this in mind, as an organization, we partner with governments to look at how we can support teachers to transform their practice. Fortunately for us in Ghana, we have the government coming up with a policy of one teacher, one laptop to ensure that the teachers have 21st century skills to transform their classrooms, to ensure that they are using the appropriate technology and tools to create content, relevance, and developmental appropriate for their learners, aligned with the curriculum. So with this in mind, as an organization, we said, no, we really need to find out what is the skill set of teachers when it comes to the use of technology. And so there was a research that was done to also ensure how prepared teachers are to ensure they use this technology. We are working in 3 regions in Ghana. We have Greater Accra, where we currently are. We have Volta region and the Northern region. And we are working with over 800 teachers. That is direct. And with the indirect, if we put the direct together, we are reaching over 2,500 teachers. And so we did the research, and what came to fore is that there are a lot of teachers who have skills. I'm happy you talk about some schools are looking at basic Microsoft Suite like Word, PowerPoint, Excel. And that is the basic skills that the teachers need to ensure that they are really supporting their teachers. Because with these basic skills, the children also get to pick this, and then as they advance, they now go for the direction you are talking about. Because without the basics, you can't also lay a superstructure. So we need to look. So we realize that some of them have issues with that. And so, but in the areas where they have the skills to use the PowerPoint and all those things, they also have issue with the internet connectivity and then data. So what do? We have to organize training for these teachers. Prior to the training, we had a video that talked about the benefit of use of technology, how that can transform teachers, and this was circulated. Fortunately for us, teachers also have Android phones, which they can leverage and use with the WhatsApp, which is very easy. So we organize training for them, and we have about 40% of these teachers, 800 teachers, who are females, because in the most of the hard-to-reach communities, you don't have most females go there. And so this was done. But the good thing is that we have developed content that is hosted on Kaya app, and teachers have been taken through how to create accounts, how to log in, how to navigate the internet, and also be able to get content. We have also worked with National Teaching Council, who is a regulator of teachers, and ensure that these teachers who take the online courses after the training are able to earn CPD points. When I say CPD, that is Teacher Continuous Professional Development Points, and that is also helping them to renew their licenses as part of the process, in addition to their portfolio building. What do we see in the classroom? Teachers have improved skills to create developmentally appropriate content aligned with the curriculum. They are able to use PowerPoint in the classroom. They are able to create interactive classrooms by integrating playful activities and ensuring that whatever content they are giving to the children make meaning to them. They ensure that the children are interested in the activity and that they can even replicate this during their free time at home, and that's the parents are happy about. There is that level of engagement amongst themselves, and then there is that joy. You can find joy in the face of the learners, because that is the ultimate thing. Because if children are learning in a stressed environment, they will end up not really understanding anything. But once it is a relaxed, they get it. So we have leveraged technology to ensure that teachers have skills to be able to develop content and also have the skill of creating learner-friendly assessments, so that they are able to store this information or data in the Excel, which can be used to inform decision. Because within the classroom, the teacher should be able to know the learners and be able to create content appropriate to the level of the learners in their respective classrooms. So these are some of the things we are doing as an organization to ensure that teachers have the right skills using technology. Thank you.
Great. So now we're going to turn it over to you, the audience, to ask questions to our panelists. And fear not, should you not have questions, I do have some myself from what they said.
My name is Praise Olutuashi. I work with Public Digital. I have a question around, so there's a lot of work being done on the continent in terms of training skills. And in the job market, there's always a difference between when you're trained and when you can actually deploy the skills, right? How best can we approach ensuring that people that are being trained are actually being given the opportunity to actually use these skills to build experience? Thank you.
I'm Rachel. I work with the Global Information Systems Department of MSI Reproductive Choices, formerly known as Marie Stopes, Marie Stopes International. This topic is of concern to me because I'm very passionate. Even though I'm based in Ghana, I work for the UK. And I'm very passionate about it because it took a lot of time. Coming from school, I never studied IT, but I had interest in doing IT. So I landed on an internship opportunity for 3 years, and then that's where I harnessed my skill to get to that global stage. And during my session, when I was interning with the various companies, I realized there was a struggle for women and girls. I know the conversation has always been about getting the skills, actually. There are some women I know have the skills, but do not have the right opportunity to put those skills into practice. If we are talking about this, then we are looking at also bringing women up to speed and up to the level where they can actually go on the job market, apply for jobs. They can build confidence, and then they can actually work with these skills. When we're talking about diversity, it seems to be like we're just talking about equitable access, but I think practically we should be looking at bringing these resources and these skills and these opportunities to their doorstep. That's the way it motivates them as well. So I want to know from the panelists, especially in Ghana, what are some of the internship opportunities for women? What are some of the internship opportunities for girls in school? Can we start introducing them as they are in, school campuses and all, so that they rightly apply for these things and then they can start their career in tech? Thank you.
As part of, I mentioned that we also host the American Corner in partnership with the US Embassy. So we do a lot of work related to Get Ready for Work series. We partner with job companies, recruitment companies, agencies. Every week we have a session we had a project specifically targeting only women. So women in school, women out of school, people who have completed and they didn't have a job. And we bring them in our space, and we also do an online program specifically for these recruitment agencies to come and tell them exactly how they can, like as I'm speaking right now, if you go to our page, Mobile Web Ghana, there is a session ongoing, 20 skills that you need to be able to get 21st century jobs. And people come with their questions, how they can get a job. Where do you get a job? We tell them to create LinkedIn profiles. There are a lot of jobs on LinkedIn, just having that information alone empowers them. Because you'll be surprised that somebody has finished school and doesn't have a LinkedIn profile, doesn't even know that the platform called LinkedIn even exists in the first place. So just even empowering that person with such a knowledge that create a profile on LinkedIn, go to LinkedIn jobs and just study what kind of jobs. And then now we are linking with recruitment companies. What do you have? We do CV clinic where we bring recruiters live to the room, and then people bring their CVs, and their CVs are vetted, they are corrected. We do simulations of job interviews and other things just to give them that skills that we do. It's not on a bigger scale like the whole of Ghana we are doing it, but we've started small, on a small scale. We hope that we advise them that please, these skills, carry it on. Just tell somebody or teach what you've learned here. Teach it to somebody else.
And if I was just to add to that, which was an excellent question from him as well, the program I mentioned earlier, the DigiGirls, is a typical example of the UK's approach to these things, and it tackles all of the points you've raised. For example, there are different layers of digital skills. We have basic for people that have been completely excluded. We have the intermediate level, and we have the very advanced. Through the Digital Access Program, we cover all three. Now, in the DigiGirls project, for example, what we did, because we've supported about 70,000 people in Nigeria on that, what we did is that we do not just offer digital skills. For example, we go through the basic, and then we get to the intermediate level. And then in addition to that, we offer soft skills, workplace, we call it workplace soft skills, because we are actually preparing these people to actually fit into workplaces with their digital skills. We also offer mentorship along with it. So as part of the program, we had over 15 female tech leaders who were mentors on the program, and we divided the girls because it's run for about 3 or 4 years in batches. We divided the girls into groups, maybe 10 or 15 to a mentor, depending on what they want to do. Because there's some of them who, after getting the skills, they don't want to work, they want to set up their businesses. So depending on what they want to do, we divided that, and we provided them with a relevant soft skill to be able to move forward with that. In fact, we went a step further to partner with organizations and place them on internship. And we succeeded in doing that. A large number of the girls who participated in the training got internships, whether it's MTN, whether it's different organizations who came in, tech startups, picked some of the girls, and then gave them opportunity for paid internship. We've even had international organizations who did that. So the UK's approach to this is quite holistic, and that is what we focused on.
And I'd also like to highlight a partner that Datocracy works with here in Ghana called Blossom Academy. So they do data science training, and every cohort that they have, minimum, they must have 50% women participation. And they have held to that since they were started. And part of the final stages of the training is that they also support with job placement. So this is a homegrown initiative, Blossom Academy, led by Jeff Achepong. He's a fabulous, fabulous guy. He couldn't be here this year, but do check them out.
Yeah, and maybe I'm just not good at that. And just to add one more thing, I think, the training and skills to link to employability is a really important question. And I think you see a lot of times when donors or others fund just skills or digital literacy program and there's no clear outcome for people to use it in their daily lives or to apply it to a job, then it becomes a question of why did I do this training and what is its relevance to me? So I think the questions are really important and well heard. USAID funds a number of workforce development programs that aim to kind of bridge that gap, understanding that employers and many different companies are seeing gaps in Asia and Africa and certain markets where they want to fill maybe like cloud engineers or, computer scientists or other kind of technical specialties. And sometimes they do come to USAID and say, hey, we see this gap, we want to train somebody in this cloud certification program, X number of people, and then, be able to pull them into our workforce pipeline. And so those are some of the projects that USAID tends to fund as well, in kind of seeing that gap between skills and linking it to employability. I will say that, I think there are two different levels of digital literacy and skills that we want to look at. Of course, there is that important link to workforce development, and that's really key. But we also want to make sure that we are looking at people, the bottom billion, the people who are recently unconnected or just coming online, and that is a very different kind of group of, set of skills and incentives that people have. So we want to make sure that, of course, we are kind of looking at that workforce development angle, but not only looking at that, so that we can ensure that we are also, trying to support, the poorest of the poor also come online in a safe and effective way.
Great, and adding to that, like the job skills mismatch that currently exists, I know that Smart Africa has been spearheading a lot of work and research in this area. Nothing has yet emerged to my knowledge, but I know that they're working on it. And then you also see a lot of initiatives by various governments trying to come in line with that, because obviously you want your skills to be applicable to the jobs that are where you are, so you don't have to leave your country or your village even if you don't want to. So I know work is being done, but not yet finalized. All right. So
just a quick one. My name is Nathaniel Foria. I work with Farm Radio International. Training is very important in terms of capacity building, but it has an end time. What keeps it running is the available of resources. So I know that you are working in different areas. It's more of a silo. Is there a synergy? And if yes, which organization have you partnered with so that after the training, people will have access to these resources to keep them going? Because that is very, very key. Thank you.
All right.
All right. So I'm Samuel. I'm probably the internet safety guy. So basically, you've explained the workable skills, the ones that are required for some higher level of work, and then we've also established that there is basic computer or digital skills for anyone who is going to be a digital citizen. All right. Now, we've not discussed content creation yet here. I don't know if there's going to be that. But what I want to say is that if you are going to do digital skills for Africa, then we should understand that there is globally accepted or trending digital skills. And you mentioned a lot of them. And so it has become so attractive. And so a lot of people are asking to do it. And we also have localized, relevant digital skills that must be trained. We know mostly government is the highest employer, and we have gaps in the system. We see it all the time. And so if we are crafting digital skills, it should be country-specific. It should be local, need-based specific, not just the most attractive global digital skill that is trending. Unfortunately, that is what motivates us, because most of us are looking for remote jobs that pay in other currencies. And so if you ask, what do you want to learn? Most people would want to learn Power BI, but see, perhaps in the health sector, perfect Excel skills would be more relevant, all right, as a basic skill for the local industry. And so that is my first. And the second one is, please, we keep talking about exciting skills, but we never mention about security skills. And it is very tough to rehabilitate digitally traumatized adults. Very, very tough. And so please, no matter what level of digital skills we are creating or discussing, let us always remember that security on the digital space is not a sector. It is a basic skill. Just like English or a language to be used, let us incorporate it on every level, so that we don't have the over 800 million Africans who will be getting access to the internet by 2050 scared to even use the digital space for the benefit it brings us. And so I always say that let us always remember that security skills is not just a basic, it's not just an elective skill. It should be a basic skill right from the beginning, especially like you said, right to play. Your play must include security consciousness from every level. Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Is it on? Hello, Kanikwa Abdul Malik from CRS. I had a question because I see that one of the things that is happening is including in programming, how to include digital skills in your programming. But I find, particular at an INGO, even if the organization itself is mature, every country program, the skills of the staff and the maturity, it's just a very wide range. So I'm wondering what is also occurring to skill up the people like in this room, in this industry, maybe not this room because we're ICT4D, but our colleagues that are working with communities to improve their digital skills as well, to then address the digital skills of the community.
Last question, because I can't remember the first last question, and then we'll pivot to answering.
Yeah, thank you. Just the great effort is there, but I want to just add something relating to the previous session, that in addition to the technical trainings we are talking about, we should also consider training about the rights and the understanding of data protection. Especially we are dealing with youth, and youth, they have plain brains, so you can invest in that directly, and which will return for the future. Thank you.
All right, so thank you very much. So with the training, like you rightly said, we are doing this in partnership, and that explains why this conference is very important, because it's also to meet other partners and then learn what they are doing and how we can network and build that partnership. And so as an organization, we are currently in talks with Instil Insta, who is also good at creating content. It's a South African-based organization, and they work with National Teaching Council and have trained a lot of facilitators on how they can support the space. So we are in talks with other organizations, and maybe after here we can have a chat to see how we can look at expanding the scope to ensure that we are really talking to more people and coming out with a synergy that we can refer our teachers to, and then to the source so that they can really be supported beyond just the training. Yeah, good. And so security is also important, my senior man. Very important, because in whatever you do, you need to ensure that there is security. So the data of the students, the learners, how are you keeping them? And is it the case that we have this social media where we have learners who are not doing well, and then we post their performance on the WhatsApp platforms, and people begin to laugh, but at the same time, they don't know the future of that child, where the child will be. Maybe the child can become an MP in future, but because of earlier circulation of some information, that can be used against the child. So very important that we ensure that whatever training we are doing, there's a need to factor in security to ensure that we are protecting everybody and also looking at the rights. So you have the right to post, but what is your responsibility to post? What is the right? So we need to make sure that we are balancing all. Thank you.
Okay, I want to take the question on advanced skills versus basic skills. What is the requirement for country-specific or community-specific learning? I want to say that if you have a boat or if you have a car, like I'm very young, but I've seen a lot of things evolve. One is a car. When I was young, I used to take a wooden car. Now there is no longer a wooden car. Now all the cars is called in Ghana is called Chioya or something. You know, a lot of things have evolved, and there are two ways to deal with this evolvement or these new things. It's either you take the new car, or you said you are going to take the old wooden car, which takes a while, you know. So for instance, let's take example to the opportunities that are available and how easy and simple it will be for the target audience that are learning their skills. So, I mean, these are two schools of thoughts. You can say, okay, let's give them the basics, or the train is already gone, like a lot of things that have happened in Africa. I mean, internet penetration, we've had internet, but not everybody has internet. We are still slow on a couple of things. Internet penetration, learning a new skills, learning blockchain, now is AI. What exactly do we take? Do we start from HTML, CSS, the basic fundamentals, or do we say, look, you could learn JavaScript, you can learn Python, and join the data program, data analytics programming. What is the best way to do this? I may not know, but if I give you the options and you choose to do Tableau, you choose to do Flourish versus PowerPoint or versus Excel, that is your choice, but I would give you the two options.
Sure. There are a lot of good questions. Just to address a couple more of the points, somebody mentioned that remember that security is extremely important. Definitely agree. We try to think of digital literacy on like two sides of the framework of capacity and safety. So we've obviously been talking about the capacity side a lot, which is skills development, but then safety, cyber hygiene, and knowing, you know, password protection, all of these basic things that we all do to stay safe online and protect our information. At both an individual and systemic level or organization level is extremely important. So I definitely agree with that point. And in terms of the question about, you know, upskilling ourselves, it's a really important point, and that's why, you know, over the last couple of years at USAID, a lot of our resources have been focused on upskilling our own staff. So I would encourage you all, if you're interested, to take a look at the digital literacy training videos that USAID has provided online. But it's really meant for development practitioners ourselves to think about it. Because of course, in this type of forum, there's a lot of conversation about AI and blockchain and the latest technologies. But at the end of the day, most people, including in the United States, are a little bit intimidated when they think about technology and and not to mention integrating technology into their own programming or their own work. So making sure our staff understand at all different sectors, agriculture, health, education, et cetera, understand and how technology can be utilized in a meaningful way, not just tech for tech's sake, is extremely important. So just to encourage everyone to take a look at those resources to upskill ourselves in a way.
Okay. And so, ID, do you want to have some final words as well?
No, absolutely not. She's very right. And of course, the person who made a comment about cyber skill is important. In all of our digital skilling program for the FCDO, through the Digital Access Program, cybersecurity essential is at the foundation. There is no single digital skilling program. In fact, I did mention earlier one of the four cardinal objectives about our digital development strategy is digital responsibility. And digital responsibility speaks to cybersecurity essentials, safe cyber essentials. So at the very start of even engaging with digital, we tell you, we try to integrate cybersecurity skilling, safe cyber essentials, and we've done that extensively across our partner country. I would also mention really quickly on that front is I did flag that having the right digital skill speaks to 3 points: functional skill, technical skill, and behavioral skill. That is where the safe cyber essential comes in, on behavioral skill. How do you behave in the digital space to be safe? So for the FCDO, we integrate this and we take this completely really important as part of our scaling work.
Okay. And so to answer the colleague from Catholic Relief Services, one of the things that Datocracy is working on should be finished by May or June of this year will be a responsible data management course, which will cover security as well. And it's specifically for global majority NGO workers. So happy to connect with you to tell you more about that, and it will be freely available.
Great. All right, so that concludes our panel now. I'd like to thank all four of you for such insightful remarks and also being able to keep the time as I've requested. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming.